Yo, what is up, everybody? Let's go back again. Story number 4 from the Insomnia Horror Collection, written by Noctis Draven. Remember to use the links in the description below. Show love to the author, like, comment, and subscribe. This story is titled Southern Hospitality. The following events took place during the summer of 1920. Bo, that's what everyone called me in town. I had a reputation for drinking a little much, being a tad hot-headed, and even a touch of crazy for a certain girl. That's all well and fair if I'm to be honest and shame the devil, but after my ride in the summer of 1920, they all steered clean the hell away from me. Can't say I blame them. Hell, I wouldn't believe me either if I didn't see it with my own eyes. And if I didn't hear it. See, my folks and I lived way out in the thicket, and I had important business needed tending to with Ken, Nacogdoches, Texas. Being as we was just simple country folk, we didn't have much of an automobile. So, it was a good 2 days ride for me. I made the trip a time or two, so I knew to head out as early as I could. Well, I knew that, but it sure didn't play out that way. See, a little gal I've been running around with in town got it in her head that I was leaving to get away from her. So, she up and met me at my home. After a little fight, a little makeup, and some pretty words, I finally got my behind on the trail. I had all I needed for the trip, so it was just a game of doing it, and most of it was a pleasant ride, I must say. The damn sun saw fit to quit on me after a few hours, and the night comes real quick in the sticks. It started getting where I couldn't see, and I knew if I couldn't, then my horse surely was riding blind. I pushed on anyway. Long as the trail was flat, I had to make some distance, cause no telling how long my kin stick around waiting on me. It was dark as Judas's heart out here, and like an angel from heaven, I could barely see the light of a lantern half a mile ahead. Well, I was tired, and my old stud wasn't walking as smooth. Told me we needed to stop. I got close to the light, and I could make out that it was an old house with a pretty large barn out back. As I got closer to the front, a man met me outside, almost like he knew I was coming. He was a young feller, and already balding. Nice though. He smiled and nodded to me as I hopped to the ground with a thud. Stranger, you don't gotta say a word. I know you're tired by the look of you. Yeah, you don't miss much. I'm Bo, and this here's Trent. Pleasure to the both of you, Mr. Bo. Tell you what, mighty dark out, and being a Christian man, I don't think I could handle letting you go off in this thicket and dark. To be honest, we've been having trouble with a pair of cats taking our chickens, and I got it in my gut it won't be long before they decide to take something bigger. Cougars, huh? Yes, sir, that's right. In the heat of mating, I figure it. Tell you what, go on inside and we'll put you up for the night. Got a couple other travelers in there tonight. Also, a mama just got a pan of chili and biscuits set down for supper. I looked around and at my horse Trent, then back at the man who oddly still didn't give his name. It was all a little much, but to be honest, I was sure hungry, tired, and the thought of a night ride with a damn cougar out sent chill up my spine. Don't you worry about Trent here, mister. I'll take him around the barn, get him fed and some fresh water. He'll be right as rain and ready for you to come daylight. How the hell could I say no? I shook his hand again, handed him the reins, and walked inside the old house. Well, I sure had a strange feeling, but the setting didn't match my gut. It was cozy, well kept, and the smell coming from that chili was sure enough to drive a man insane. We got another. Well, come on in, son, but kick them boots off before you sit on my table. I left my boots by the door and walked into the dining area, where 2 other men were mopping up chili from plates with biscuits. Boy, ain't we popular tonight? Go on, son, sit down, and I have a full as ticking cows. No time. She was skinny, old woman, maybe 110 pounds, dripping wet, but she sure as hell could cook. Made small talk, and other travelers thanked the woman and retired to a separate room where the extra beds were. I lingered a short while longer, but once I had my fill, I grabbed my boots from the door and headed in the direction the others went. In the spare room, there were 4 cot-style day beds, and 2 had the men from supper curled up in them. I found one in the furthest corner and blew out a candle on the wall, making it dark. I lay there for what felt like it was only a minute or 2, but then I was fast asleep. I woke up to the sound of muffled talking. I was facing the wall and had the blankets pulled up to my neck, my back facing the other beds. The muffled talking turned into what sounded like arguing and then a struggle. I heard grunting and what sounded like someone being punched or hit with something. It sounded like someone had their hand over one of the man's mouth in the room with me. It was loud enough to wake me, but with how quiet they kept it, I figured it was more than one man attacking this traveler. Everything inside me wanted to jump and run as fast as I could. My guardian angel must have known best, 'cause I laid there, played like I was asleep the entire time. After the struggle, I heard more muffled voices, and then grunting. Sounded like they were lifting a body out from the bed. Loud thud shook my bed a bit, and one of the men cursed. I figured they dropped the poor soul. They lifted it back up, and I heard shuffling as they carried the body outside somewhere. Call me a coward if you will, but I cuffed myself right in that bed, shutting my eyes as tight as I could, not moving a hair. Glad I did, 'cause those men came back. A man with a raspy sleep voice started to talk at a normal and startled turn. What? Who is it? Wait. Then more muffled voices and a longer struggle. Seems this fella was putting up a fight. I heard kicking, and it took all one man had to keep his hand over the poor traveler's mouth. After a good 30 seconds or so, it was still. I swear on Mary, I could hear a knife being run through the poor man over and over again till the room was dead silent. I heard footsteps getting mighty close to my bed, and they stopped. I could feel the heavy breathing of a man on my cheek. He was hunting for a sign that I was awake, So I just laid there, pretty as you please, trying my best I could, make my breathing look normal, like I sleep. He stood over me the entire time. The old fella dragged that body out of the room and outside. After a long while, he finally left the room and joined his buddy outside. I could hear what sounded like the swinging of an axe, but there weren't no wood being cut in the dead of this night. A while later, a man came back in the room, stood over me again. I knew this was it. I played asleep better than any silver screen actress, but I knew at any moment I'd feel a blade sink into my neck. Felt like a damn eternity, but the man backed up and walked out the door, leaving me there, still facing the wall, covered in sweat under a blanket. I didn't get any sleep, as if it needed to be said, and I was mighty happy to see the sun coming up through the window. I could hear movement in the kitchen, smelled biscuits, and even some bacon frying. I decided the smartest thing I could do, not give a single sign that I heard it at all, that I should just make like I had the best night's sleep of my life. I turned over, saw the beds, neatly made, empty. Put my boots under my arm and walked to the kitchen after dressing properly. Well, morning, mister. Got the best damn time in this side of the Mississippi. Breakfast is just about done. The last thing I was hungry. But I knew to make like nothing was wrong, so I did what a gambling man would do. I played along. Yes, ma'am, that smell sure is hard to ignore. Yeah, well, I reckon you'll be on your way soon. I nodded as I forced bacon down my throat. I wanted to be sick, if I'm telling the God's honest truth. Oh, how'd you sleep last night? He seemed to peer at me, staring right into my eyes, and even deeper, into my damn soul. He waited for me to give the wrong answer, and had I done it, I figured the men would take me right then and there. So I snapped out of it and smiled. Ma'am, I tell you, I slept so good and heavy. Not for this here bacon, I'd still be asleep now. I kept up my bluff, of pulling out a little bit of money and placing it on the table. Ma'am, as good as y'all been to me, I can, in good faith, I give you a little something. Yeah, well, I'm a Christian woman, and the Lord says if you can help, then you should. Keep that money, son. I smiled and finished my meal as I stood up. Curiosity got the best of me. I had to know. Ma'am, I guess the others left out mighty early then. Her answer sent a chill through my bones and let me know my time to leave was here. Yeah, maybe you're still sleepy, son. Ain't no one been here all night except you. We haven't had a visitor in weeks. After she answered, she stood still and looked at me with an empty plate in her hand. I smiled and nodded as I turned and walked out the front door. As I walked, I could still feel her eyes on me, praying to the Lord I didn't push my luck. I headed for the barn. The balding young man met me there, and true to his word, there was Trent, looking bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I nodded and thanked them over and over as I mounted up and headed down the trail again. Took all I had not to dig my heels in and run. Trent the whole damn way to town, but I kept my act up as it still just didn't feel right. About 4 miles outside the city, I rode up on a lone rider. He was just there on the trail, mounted, waiting. He nodded at me and raised his hand politely for me to stop, which I did. "Hey there, fella. How can I help you?" He smiled back at me, but it didn't make me feel any better. It made me feel worse, like something was about to happen. "Hey, you stay at that house back there, Spell? One with the old woman?" What a strange question. It was then I knew I was yet clear of that damn house. Oh yeah, yes sir, I surely did. Nicest people I ever met in all my days, yes sir." Then he asked the same damn strange question the old woman did. "So, how'd you sleep? You didn't wake up any, did you?" His asking made me want to turn tail and ride fast as the wind, but I held my ground. "Oh no, sir, I slept like a baby. Hell, I ain't slept in a bed so comfortable ever, I don't imagine." He nodded and got quiet. I stood in front of him another 40 seconds or so before I slowly turned, nodded at him, went on about my way. He sat on his horse, eyes darting into me as I rode off, not moving, making a sound. I made it into Nacogdoches about sundown and was damn happy to see my kin. I told them the story. They accused me of hitting the bottom. I tell you, to this day, I never took that trail again. Everyone thinks I made the whole thing up. I even asked some trappers who ran blue ticks through that area if they ever seen the old house and woman, but they all said no. The one thing I knew is be damn careful whether or not you accept a little southern hospitality. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our story.